sippers, welcome to this episode of the Tea With Me podcast, live from our brand new studio. It's a good time. We're in Hollywood. We're up to no good. It's a guest episode today. What better way to do our first episode, our first public episode of the podcast, than to have LURGAN'S finest, Micky Bartlett, here. Great fun doing an episode with Micky. You'll enjoy this. And look, that's what we're doing in here. That's what the studio's for. It's to do solo episodes. You know, sometimes I'm just like a bit like a lone wolf roaming the podcast plains. Then sometimes I've got friends in here as well. So I got to plug just a couple of things real quick before I start. Number one is Patreon. So I mentioned a public episode. We do loads of stuff in private as well. We have a lot of private fun. And if you would like to engage with people having private fun in your area, go to patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. We do a bonus episode on a Monday, full-length episode, video version. Behave yourself. Yes, there's a video version. We do this on a Wednesday for everyone, and then on a Friday we do a live stream. We've been doing them at 2 p.m. We'll look at that time and see if we want to keep it or change it to something else. Last week, phenomenal time with Kieran Bartlett. This week I've got Aaron Butler coming on, and we just talk shit, and it's live. You're part of the show. There's a chat bar. You can ask questions, throw topics out, you can slag us. You can really do whatever you want. So that's patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. Head over there and have a look at what we're all about. 2 sponsors before we get into this. Number 1 is Manscaped. Let me ask you a question. How are you doing pubically? All right, because this is the time of year where, a lot of guys, have an eye on summer grooming techniques. They say, oh, I've got to look good during the summer. But maybe in the winter months, in the spring, autumnal months, you're not keeping on top of things. I don't want people to just be summer pube enthusiasts. I want all year. I want you to keep it looking trim. Manscaped have the Lawnmower 3.0, right? Jesus Christ, it's on. Right? And listen, if you're just listening to the audio version, this isn't what you think it is. Mummy's pocket friend, right? This is a black, sleek trimmer for your gentleman's hair. Not on top of your head. Let's just say from the belly button down, you rascal. Look at this. There's a wee light on it now. Just in case, you like to spend your time in the dark. I was going to say in case you're blind, but a light will make zero difference. Yeah, check this out. You travel. Are you an international businessman? Get a Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0. Have your 3 o'clock meeting, but before you go in, take care of down there. Take care of down there. That's a new slogan for Manscaped. Let's sell it to them down. They've got, what else am I looking at here? Ball toner, ball deodorant, ball wipes. I mean, where do these guys come up with these ideas? I mean, I think their number one theme is balls, and then they just add things from there. Manscaped, their balls in the head. Manscaped, first thing in the morning, the last thing at night, they're thinking about your balls, and so am I. So head over to manscaped.com and use the code TEAWITHME for 20% off and free shipping. And I said percent in a really weird way there. You could have driven a bus between the per and cent. Manscaped.com and use the code TEAWITHME for 20% off and free shipping. Your balls will thank you. And just remember, male or female, I'm always thinking about your balls. We have a new sponsor. Somebody spank my arse and call me Richard. We've got a new sponsor, and our new sponsor is ExpressVPN. And you're going, ExpressVPN, is that a cool band from the 90s? No. ExpressVPN protects your privacy and security online. I mean, the thing I know about ExpressVPN is if you like to access more content on the web, this is what you need, because you might be one of those guys who, you might be a 47-year-old farmer from Randallstown, Northern Ireland, that just fucking loves anime, and he's going, all the best animes on Netflix, in Canada. You can get yourself over there. Are you one of these people that just fucking is so annoyed all day because you're going, see, in America, they got all the shows before us and all, about 3 years before us. With ExpressVPN, you don't need to worry about that. What it does is it hides your IP address and it lets you control where you want sites to think that you're located. So it's a little game of hide and go seek with your browser. You know, with the internet dark lords. You know, essentially what this is like Harry Potter's Cloak of Invisibility, but it's online and it's not like that at all. You can choose from almost 100 different countries. Just think about all the Netflix libraries you can go through. So you could be a 22-year-old lady from Korean, and you could play a classic prank on the internet and have the internet think you're in Brazil. ExpressVPN. There's hundreds of VPNs out there. ExpressVPN is ridiculously fast. There's no buffering, no lag, and you can stream in HD. And we love this. Girls, we like our television like we like our browse. HD. ExpressVPN is compatible with all your devices, phones, media consoles, smart TVs, and more. They're not even going to list them. They're just like, yeah, more as well. So what you do is you head to expressvpn.com/teawithme. expressvpn.com/teawithme. You get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. Support the show, watch what you want, and protect yourself at expressvpn.com/teawithme. Let's get into the podcast. It's the first public podcast in the new studio. Remember to head over to Patreon if you want all that sneaky extra stuff. This is Tea With Me. I'm Shane Todd with my guest, Micky Bartlett. My first guest in the studio.
Am I the first one?
You're the first. Well, we've done a live stream, but on the actual podcast, you're the first one.
Oh, that's really. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Academy.
Lurgan Academy. Is that a school? I don't know.
Might be. Banbridge Academy.
Just that. Yeah, I'd love to see an Oscar speech. Just thanking Banbridge Academy, just really out of context.
I think my history teacher who told me I could be all I can be.
Leonardo DiCaprio said the wheels and shout out to Banbridge Academy.
Gavin Swift's 5-a-side. Listen, he's done a great job.
I want to talk to you about loads of stuff, but one thing I want to talk to you about is your podcast. I want to get into conspiracy theories, and just off the bat, before we do anything, what's the thing about the Seaspiracy?
But I only watched a bit of that.
By the way, like you're the person that. What does it say about
I love
me?
how I'm the go-to conspiracy theory guy.
when a world event happens, I'm going to you and Keezy and going, what's the bottom line here?
What's happened? What's happened? I don't know, that Seaspiracy thing, as far as I could see, because I'd never seen the video of the turtle with a straw in its nose.
What?
There was a video that went about like a year or two ago. I think Geddes actually had some stand-up about it.
Right. Oh,
but it was like one of these famous videos, like that's when they stop using plastic straws. Look at this turtle, and they're like, and the turtle's like dry heaving on it. But I think that
as like a prank, or he
went too far, man. He was like, "Yeah, come on, like, hold my shell." But I watched a bit of it the other night where it's like they're basically saying that like plastics and pollution in the ocean isn't doing half as much damage as overfishing.
Right. Because the reason I found out about it is a guy I vaguely know on Facebook put up a post and went, if you're thinking about having fish for your dinner tonight,
think again.
Think twice. And I was like, the only thing that's made me want to do is have fish for my dinner tonight.
I wasn't even hungry.
You put the thought in my head.
Fish shopper. Hold the straw.
See, like, do you think that lockdown and the past year has made people who weren't interested in conspiracies before way more into it?
I think it did, because if you remember, like at the start of lockdown, everybody was talking about the Epstein documentary on Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's how like me and Keezy ended up doing the conspiracy version of the podcast, because it was like, fuck, this is all like, what's going on?
Oh, so the podcast, so you do Dick Chair and Yum's podcast. Everybody will know it, but did it not start as a conspiracy podcast?
Not at all. So Dick Chair and Yum was like, basically we were like, I felt like I was like, I need to do a podcast. Everyone else has one, but I tried to do one by myself, and I hated it.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I think I'd done about 4, and it was just me asking my dog what was wrong with it. Because the dog was like, why are you talking to yourself?
Worst vet ever.
I know. Yeah. The dog was always freaking out like, Dad, what's going on? And I was like, would you fuck off a minute? Just 2 minutes. And then, so yeah, me and Casey talked. We were just like, right, let's do a podcast. We'll do one. And if we can talk for an hour, go for it. And we were like, what do we call it? And I went, well, your nickname's Yums, and a few people call me Deck Chair in the stand-up scene. So I was like, we'll just call it that, fire it out and see what happens. And I got a bunch of hits. And we're right, we'll do another one. Yeah. And we've been doing it for about 3 months. And then the night of the lockdown, because basically the plan for us was to do it sort of slightly more, a more sort of topical based podcast, as opposed to just having comedians talking shit.
Yeah.
Which are great podcasts. Yeah. But like,
you're on one.
I've got one as well. But we're like, we'll try and do something where like, you know, we'll do some news features or we'll talk about what's in the papers or whatever. And over the course of that, because my dad's mad at the conspiracy theories, I'd be like, do you ever hear this mad thing about whatever?
Well, that's how I remember you telling me about that years ago.
Yeah.
And you were saying, my dad and a few people he works with, like, they're well into this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, was it 9/11 stuff you first told me?
Yeah, there's been a whole bunch of stuff that we're into, but that's the bit that's really, like, because there was a point where I started reading some of the stuff, and I don't believe anything, but if anybody watching this, if you're going to leave it in the comments, nobody knows, I haven't a clue, but I started reading some of the stuff just to piss my dad off.
9/11 stuff? Or just
like, 9/11 stuff, like David Icke stuff, all the mad shit. I was like, I'm going to read this, pull it apart, and then be like, ha ha, I'm the man of the house, kind of thing. And then stuff would start to happen, and my dad would go, told you, and I'd be like, fuck. Right. So like now, like everyone's wearing masks, like vaccines just swinging about, and my dad's like, oh, what have I been saying? What have I been fucking saying this whole time? Won't have 5G in the house. So yeah, so what happened was then when lockdown first kicked in, I think whenever the COVID-19 whatever bill was passed, I can't even remember. There's so much shit, but I remember me and Casey were standing. We're having a this is what it was. We were going to do the first pub quiz podcast with we'll just do that for the crack on a Friday night.
Yeah,
because the bars are closed down the week before lockdown. And Connor went, that'll be your right to protest gone in a year. And I was like, what? And he was like, I'm telling you, it's all part of it. So yeah, we just started going down the sort of deep dive side of things, and then Connor was down the rabbit hole, and I was kind of holding his feet. Like, man,
but were you still in it because you were holding his feet? Did that carry you into it a bit?
Bits and pieces, but it was kind of like what I was finding was anything. If at any point I was to go, did you see a thing about? Or if I was to go, I'm not really sure about. Say it was about lockdown. Like, I'm not sure lockdowns work, which I'm not sure. I don't think anyone. There's a lot of people going that don't. But as soon as I would bring it up, people would go, and I suppose you think Bill Gates is trying to put a microchip in your ball bag? And I'd be like, how do you know about that? Like, I've been keeping my mouth shut. How do you know that there's lunatics that think Bill Gates is trying to put stuff in your arse? Yeah. So I was like, I'm not going to go too far down because I still want to have a career.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, genuinely, like, I do text Casey sometimes and go, mate, what are people actually saying about this stuff?
Yeah.
You know, and being like, not even being a conspiracy theorist, being into the idea of conspiracies was very weird about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like when you told me about your dad doing that, then some other comedian that we know, I can't remember, told me his dad did exactly. He's like, my dad and his mates in work.
Yeah.
You know, they get together fucking round in the lunch break, and they're talking. He's like, my dad, I think his dad's flat earther or something, but he was like, you know, this is weird.
Yeah.
Now he thinks the same thing. It's like a passed down thing.
It's not even. I think it's just a kind of my sort of thought on it is that there's a lot of people who grew up here during the Troubles, and then when BBC do a 10-part documentary going, oh, MI5 was involved in a lot of that, people go, well, hang on a fucking minute, what?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's more it comes down to, I think for a lot of people, of just like the idea of like just going to work and, you know, earning just enough money to keep going back to work, and then getting to the end of your work life and going, what the fuck was that for? And then finding out you've been lied to by the government and by the richest people in the world and things like that.
Have people come up to you, like, on social media or in person with even madder stuff than you? Like, are you getting
100%, like,
right? Tell me like some DMs you'll get after a podcast or whatever. Like, are you genuinely getting people being like, Mick, check this out?
There's not. I haven't had anybody insane contact me with like, here, Mick, check this out. Yeah. I've had people that are, because it's so weird to fucking talk about it, because I look at it as a lot of people are just going, why am I not allowed to go to work?
Yeah.
I think most people think conspiracy theorists now are all, the fucking moon's made of cheese and they're not telling you. And
but that
for
is
a lot
true.
of people,
if you've
just
seen
like,
Wallace and Gromit, though, that is true.
Man, I've seen the Mighty Bush. It's got a face and everything. It talks. But I think genuinely for most people, they're just like, why can't I do all these things that we should be able to do.
Yeah.
And that's why they're first asking questions. But it's a case of just shut up and do it. Like, I find people that are on furlough and are still financially quite comfortable are the ones who are like, shut up and do as you're told. It's the people
They're
who are
loving
going,
it.
absolutely loving it. And it's not their fault. Why wouldn't you love,
Yeah.
you know, most of your wages for doing fuck all? But over the course of the last year, what I'm finding is the people who have been hit hardest are the ones asking the most questions.
Yeah.
And they're the ones being told to shut the fuck up. But then there's also absolute space cadets that are like, man, I'm telling you, Hillary Clinton eats babies. You're like, what?
And that one is true, though.
I don't think she eats them. I think she does sort of wrap them up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, with her talons. But
it's the idea of going down a rabbit hole. Like, I always go, I could read anything like that or see anything like that, and I wouldn't think twice about it. If I read a thing, I then believe it. I go, yep. But with like lockdown and stuff, like I wouldn't say for it. I wasn't like, oh please, but I got it the first time, and then more recently I've been going, it's weird now. It's weird now. Like it's at a weird point. It's a bit like there was a guy also called Michael, who I think in first or second year I had around for a sleepover with some other mates.
Yeah.
And it was a first year, right? So hear me out on this. We were playing wrestling,
right? As you do.
We're playing
Who
wrestling.
were you?
I think I was the Rock when he was a baddie, because I liked him when he was a baddie, wearing silk shirts and all.
Yeah.
And so we're like just wrestling, messing about. A few people getting stunners, and then this guy Mikey.
Sure, there were a few stunners there.
I only invited stunners to my birthday.
What's your special move? Gorman will tell you. Do you want to see the people's elbow? Do you want to feel the people bend over?
Feel people's cock? Not subtle at all. You want a Stone Cold Stunner up your arse with my dick.
Right, lay you there and I'll do a swanton blowjob. Davon, get the table. Just put your hand on a condom. I don't know where these work yet.
This one time blowjob when you pull a guy from Cirque du Soleil. Everyone's wrestling about the place. This guy Mikey goes, yeah.
Is this Mikey I know?
No, you don't know this guy. He goes, I swear to God, he dropped out of our school not long after this. Everyone's like messing about wrestling. He goes, oh yeah, he goes, we're wrestlers. And he took off his t-shirt, took off his tracksuit bottoms or jeans, socks, shoes. And
tracksuit bottoms or jeans? Either or.
Yeah, just his undergarments. He just was left in a pair of white front pants. And then he started like, like getting into the wrestling. But everybody's like fully dressed.
Aye.
It's like 4 o'clock, right, on a Saturday. And he's trying to get, and everyone's about like, okay. And they're laughing at the start, I think, or, he looks like a wrestler. But then half an hour later, when he, like, everyone's doing, like, playing PlayStation, do something else, and he's still trying to get a few headlocks in. That's me with lockdown. I'm at that point where it's like, we've moved on, I think.
Yeah.
We just want to play PlayStation. And the government is like, Mikey nearly said his surname, still on its pants going, come on, Tombstone.
Aye.
And you're like, I don't want to anymore.
Yeah, it's...
And also, we were in first year, and he was 47. I should point out.
Yeah, and that Mikey's name was Robin Swan. I kind of... Lockdown's been alright for me, because I say it's been alright. I've been at home with my parents, so financially it's been alright.
Yeah.
I haven't had to worry about bills. And
it's one of those ones, even when you said that, you're like, oh, you can't... Like, that's almost like something you can't even say.
Yeah.
People go, how's lockdown been for you? I suppose, like, people be like, suppose that's you done. Suppose, people are like, your career's gone. And when you go, no, actually, it's been in a way a good year.
Yeah.
People don't like that sentence.
But it's been a good year for, like, I think the one benefit of being self-employed and working in the arts, if you want to call it that, or whatever, the show business, is that, like, it's easy for us to adapt.
Yeah.
But if you're if you're a self-employed fucking plumber,
yeah,
and you can't go into someone's house, he's not like, I'll do a podcast. Listen, hang about you, Benz. Yeah. Like,
we're just doing improv.
Yeah,
that's all. We're
I'm just thinking, sorry, if you are a plumber and you want to stop the cock, that's the podcast. That's the title. Like,
That's what Mikey wants. Before you sort of surname.
I was locked out for you, mate, and I'm flush. I mean,
I said his surname, but
say
it's all
surname?
good because it happened.
poor guy's got kids now.
I haven't seen you, bro, in a few years.
Daddy, I was watching Shane Todd. He said you had a pish day in your pants.
No, he didn't. But like he looked great. It was just weird.
With the tidy whities he was wearing?
Navy.
Navy, fair enough.
Not
Hard
a
to
Nike
maintain the
bag,
white
don't
ones.
think about that.
Aye.
Yeah, you can't say it's like it's been okay, but like we are just because we doing like bit of acting, bit of stand up, podcasting. We're just doing improv now of people that we're being like, no, everything's all right. That's the characters we're playing.
See, it's kind of I wouldn't even go because I'm still raging about it because for me 2020 was my like year. It was the first year in stand up where I'm like,
This is my year.
it was one of those moments
Did
where I
you
was
say
like,
that on New Year's Eve? Year
no,
before?
the day after. I was like, it was my year. But I remember being like, this is the first time in years where I'm like, that my entire diary's blocked out. Like it's sorted.
Yeah.
There was 2 Australia tours, there was American gigs, there was, Ulster Hall, stuff like that. And then in 1 hour, it all just went.
Yeah.
And I just finished up a tour that I couldn't get paid for because the building was closed.
That's right.
So there was no one there to be on the computer and just hit send.
Yeah.
So I was like, do you know when you're living gig to gig and then the gigs, you can't get paid for them, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So I haven't really I've taken it very personally. I'm like, this is all against me, isn't it? Because I was being a good boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's like I was over it ages ago, and I think the bit that scares me though is people getting really, really used to it.
Well,
Like the
do you
sort
know
of
a big
mental
thing?
cost of like fucking.
A big thing I'm seeing is I put my mask on like to go into a shop or whatever. At the door, I stick it on, go in, and as soon as I come out, it's off. You see a lot of people who say they're going to do a few messages in a few different shops, they just keep it on.
Yeah.
Because they're like, fuck it, I'll not keep it on and off. So they are just wearing it all the time
Yeah.
when they're out. Like, I think that's weird when you see somebody walking.
But that was one of the major problems with like at the start when the mask first came out. A lot of like doctors were going, "You're not supposed to wear those things for all day. You're supposed to like surgeons and things that they'll wear them in a sterile environment and take them off and have to touch them to take them off.
Yeah.
Because it just you're supposed to breathe out like.
Yeah.
Like I got in an argument in a shop a few weeks ago with some bloke who was, because I can't wear them.
You don't wear
like,
one, right?
Yeah, it's not that I don't. I can't. Like I've wore them. Like I was in the Blame game last week. I'll wear them when I'm getting paid because I'm a slut. But when it comes to shops and stuff, like I'm a rapid shopper, so I'm like I know what I'm going in for. I'm not going to be hanging around long enough to be breathing around anybody. I'll be fucking in and out, and
So
I'm
what-
kind of isolating anyway because we all are because of lockdowns.
So what's your, like, not just for yourself to anyone, but like, what is your reason for not wearing a mask?
Can't breathe. Like I'm exempt. I genuinely
Right.
and I know people go, "Oh, you smoke?" I'm like, "Yeah, smoke," but no one's making me smoke. But it's like I just get really stressed out. I feel fucking claustrophobic wearing them.
The weird thing is though, from like traveling, doing gigs together and stuff, I've seen you with a ball gag in your mouth.
Yeah.
You're
That's
okay with
different.
that?
That's because my nose is fine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
To
also,
be fair, anytime the gimp suit's been on, you always leave the zip down a wee bit
exactly,
at
which
the
is
top.
tiny bit, man.
Just a
Exactly.
wee bit
Which
of-
you do need to get fresh air into that. Do you know what I mean? Because the smell of it, like, I'll never clean it. And obviously, you're going here, Mick, it's your turn, so it's all full of Shane Todd juice, which doesn't smell as good. You think it would smell like coconut milk, doesn't?
Which sponsors the podcast.
Shane Todd's juice. It's like, oi, he's going to Hollywood.
Come to Hollywood, I'll make you a star.
You gonna
Is this
make
in
me-
Hollywood I was thinking?
I like it better back in Auschwitz. The trains are more regular. Anyway, is the argument I got into in a shop because and this
What's
is what,
where in your
it was in
native
Lurgan, yeah.
Is part of you thinking, even though you're classed as exempt, are you still thinking that when you're in Lurgan, people are seeing the face, people going, Micky Bartlett, that's Micky Bartlett, don't ask him, leave him to it.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of you thinking, how dare
100%, man. I'm proud. Like it goes Neil Lennon, Colin Duffy, me. That's the that's the trifecta of Lurgan fame.
Mount Rushmore.
Do you know what I mean?
Outside the Rushmore.
Aye, I don't get me wrong. One of those three loves wearing a mask.
Neil Lennon.
Pretend he's a manager. No, yeah. But so yeah, I'll just like most shops are quite good. I always go to the same Sainsbury's because it's the only place that doesn't make you queue up outside, and I don't want to get sick. So
Right.
I'll like the security guard in there at this point knows me, and he's like, well, "You're exempt, going ahead," which is nice. It's really nice that somebody's being like, "I'm not going to keep hounding you."
Yeah.
But it was in a garage, and there was a guy who didn't work there, and that's one of the big conspiracy theory things as well, is that it's going to be about people who are not going to start self-policing. So you'll get people in the street going, pull that up or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not really any of their fucking business.
Yeah.
So I'm standing there, and it was one of those like.
What were you going in for?
Petrol and chewing gum and cigarettes. but as the shop, it was one of those queues where it was like snaking around. Yeah. And this guy, so he's like here, I'm going that way, he's going this way. And his mask was stinking. He was a workman, but it was covered. And I don't know if it was paint or shite, but it was bogging, right? Yeah. And he's like, mask. And I was like, excuse me, knowing full well what he said. And he took the mask down and he went, mask. And I went, Minnie, you right?
Hold on. What did he say?
Mask. Like that, right? And,
sounds like this guy had other problems.
Yeah, I think he had a lot of. Yeah, COVID is the last thing he should be worried about,
like being underwater.
Yeah. Well, he was on that. He was on that fucking act fast ad. He just took it really seriously. But this guy's mask thing, so he's breathing in all this fucking crap. And he was like, "You're supposed to wear a mask." And I went, "Oh, I'm exempt." And I was trying to be like, "Don't worry, I don't have it. Yeah. It's been a year. I don't know anybody who's even fucking got it. I haven't had it. You'll be fine." And he like rolled his eyes and gave it like a proper tut. So I am not an aggressive person. No, you know this, right?
Not, yeah.
But I was standing there like, you fucking cheeky cunt. Like I was really... So I got all my stuff and he was behind me and I don't know if he was genuinely coughing.
Yeah.
Because of the shit that he was breathing in or...
To make a point.
So he's giving this like... Oh, Jesus. And I, so much sass, turned around and went, mate, if you pull that down, you might be able to breathe better. And then fucking ran out of the shop. Like... But there's things where like
something like the guy was a mutant.
He just walked around there wearing a mask. Like all I heard was "bah."
By the way, you know that you talk about like people like self-policing and stuff. It's even weird looking back now when there was like security guards in shops.
Yeah.
You know, like in a high vis, like Paddy McDonald who was doing it in Springfield Road.
Yeah.
In the full rest.
He wasn't even security guard. He was just in ban a pan loaf. Ain't a bad pan loaf. Fucking some guy shaking up his face. What are you doing? Like, fucking also ain't fucking kickers fucking ain't fucking make kids and all.
Yeah, everything in Belfast, every trouble centers around the pan loaf.
You ain't got a fucking pan loaf. You ain't Brennan's anything. Fucking also make kids stand there fucking screaming. What's she doing?
By the way, every argument in Belfast, when you hear the person, the sentence always comes in, I have a child in the back of the car. even if the person doesn't. It's like a guy on a bicycle. Mate, I have 2 kids in the back of the car, for fuck's sake.
Hey, a poke fan, part-time. Did I tell you about me in the hotel getting like...
No.
So I've been doing this thing for like, since about maybe August.
Bartlett's days.
Yeah, because I'm living at home, I'm doing like youth hustling with Chris Eubank, but it's me. And like about once or twice a month, I would just fuck off to a hotel for a night, and write jokes or write stuff for the podcast. Because legally speaking, that's technically work. Therefore, I'll fuck off and do that. But I would also bring like 2 bottles of wine and get pissed. So I find this. There's this hotel in Belfast, but I won't name it. But basically, it's like it's really COVID safe. So you check in on your phone, they send the key directly to your phone, and you just you don't meet anyone.
Class.
So I'm there like 8 o'clock at night, fucking listening to me trying to write jokes in my pajamas.
By yourself?
By myself, fucked. Right? I wasn't even.
It's business like with a bit of pleasure.
I wasn't here. We drink at work all the time. I wasn't drunk at this point. I had about half a bottle of wine. I was being all Bridget Jonesy, right? And the hotel, like the room door. Yeah. Someone knocked. That's why I opened the door. It's like 2 policemen, or a policeman, a policewoman, 2 police persons, and they're like, "We're just going through the hotel to make sure everyone's here for the right reasons." And I was like, "Oh yeah, well and I genuinely, sort of was like, you know what I mean, yeah. Monumental. I mean, borrow the blenders, mate, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just here. I live at home. Can't get any peace in the house, so just came here tonight just to like get a bit of work done and stuff like that." And the guy was like, "Right, okay, but you know the hotel's supposed to be like." Reserved for, and I was like, people who are at actual work, and I was like, well, I am technically at work, and he's like, well, homeless people, and I didn't say it, but it was like, if a homeless person had 90 quid to spend on this room, I'm sure they'd get 3 nights somewhere else. So like it was, and I started getting a wee bit like fucking pissed off, because it was like, if I get COVID, it's from you two,
right?
Because there's no, and the police fair play, and they were really sorry. They were like, listen, we're just doing our job and whatever else. They were like, well, we might have to go and check with our sergeant to see whether or not you qualify for like actually be able to stay here. I was like, cool, whatever. So they went away, and I'm thinking that's it over. About midnight, they came back, and I was fucked. like,
What are you wearing?
fucking like check pajama bottoms and a tank top, right? Like black teeth. Was drinking red wine all night, right? I'm fucking hammered, right?
Any music on or
Yeah. Like I actually think that I actually initially thought they have come to complain about the noise because I was fucking. I want to shake your body, baby. Do that conga, right? So I go back to the door. The guy's like, "Listen, us again." I'm like, "Cool." They're like, "We've just checked with our superiors. Unfortunately, you don't qualify for staying here. You know, the accommodation has to be used for people who need it, or all these different reasons, and we don't classify you as being here working. So it's going to be £100 fine or whatever." And I went, "Right, no problem." And then the guy went, "Also, because like you're going to have to leave the hotel."
Right.
And I went, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Well, you don't qualify for staying here, so you're going to have to leave." And I was like, "But I've been drinking, and I live like a half-hour drive away.
Yeah.
So if you're kicking me out of this hotel, that means I have nowhere to stay, which means I now qualify for staying here." And the cop went, "Fuck!"
And then before he said anything, she went, "Nah, two children in the back here."
Fucking take in the back of car, you fucking idiot, fucking. Still fine, but like.
So £100 fine. Did you have to leave?
No. Well, I think eventually the police were like, "Wait, somebody from the hotel will be in contact with you," and I was like, "But there's nobody in the hotel. It's all on your, like, it's all
Right.
automated or whatever." But that was, I felt so bad. There was two things. One, I felt really bad for the police having to do that on a Saturday night. Like,
Yeah.
I have to go through hotels being like, "Are you having fun?" Well, stop it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I like, it sounds mental. When they came back, I immediately know how black people feel. Like, being questioned by the police once in one night was a bit annoying. Twice, I'm like, "Is it cause I'm a Fenian?" Like, like I fully went.
Oh, very.
As he chokes and dies.
Fucking hell. £100 fine.
Yeah.
You pay that there and then.
No, you have to phone them, and they're only open Monday to Friday as well. Typical Northern Ireland, like.
I mean, even that whole system in general of like, I think there will be such a big influence from this. You know,
Put it this way, Shane. I got fined, and Michelle O'Neill didn't.
Yeah. Was she there too?
She was in the next room. Maggie, you fucking turn that music down to fuck, lad. Like, I think it's imperative we fucking do all like a shots.
He's the only shots I want to say.
I don't hear Michelle fucking calm down the shot talk.
Being from like obviously Belfast burning at the minute, according to British journalists. I mean, it is
British journalists.
There's like 40 guys.
It doesn't look
really
that bad.
into
Like,
it. And by the way, they're not. People aren't that into it or that like behind their arguments when the weather got slightly worse and everyone's like, "Okay, let's wrap this up." Like when the weather was mild, they were out there like going for like this is my culture and stuff. Both sides. As soon as it got a bit of a nip in the air,
yeah,
boys like, "It's my dinner. I'm being called for my dinner and all."
I can't help but think that like old school Republicans and loyalists must be looking at this sort of young generation being like, "You fucking dicks." Because if you're going to TikTok it, the cops are going to know who you are.
Yeah. I mean, like that's a dream for police work, isn't it? Just
100%.
Username.
Just
okay, I've got
fire a hashtag in and then be all right.
Yeah. But like the. Well, have you ever participated in a riot being from Lurgan?
No. We live in the nice sort of posh.
You do, yeah.
Well, it's not posh,
house.
like the countryside, kind of like.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, my parents looked out on a cheap house in the countryside of Lurgan.
Yeah.
But it's a pube away from IRA. Like.
Yeah.
So we're still scum.
I mean, there's been like, people think because you're from Hollywood, you grew up in Hollywood, you haven't rioted. Like, I remember one of the delicatessians here.
Delicatessians?
Hummus.
Delicatessen?
You say tomato, I say tomato.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were speaking of France.
They ran out of hummus, and let me say there was a quarrel to be had that day.
I would say so. I remember one time we burnt down a pizza today, yeah. Like, also the time our local sheep shop ran out of pasties.
What did I say? Delicatessen? Is it delicatessen?
Delicatessen.
Delicatessen.
Delicatessen. Delicatessen sounds like a footballer plays for fucking Real Madrid.
Delicatessen.
You see that goal last night, mate? They're never bad. Delicatessen. He's not going there.
Is he not one of the Musketeers?
Musketeers?
Here, do you remember back in the day when it was really easy to lock your phone? Enter like a PIN code in too many times.
Yeah.
Your phone, you had to take it to get unlocked or unblocked or whatever. My dad, I like when mobile phones like first out, it must have been like fucking 10, 11. I had the first Nokia that came out. Got it for Christmas.
Still have it, mate.
Still have it.
One charge.
Hello. Not worth picking that up. But my dad, I like had blocked the phone by mistake, and he was fucking pissed off because you would have to drive to where you got it from. They unlocked it, and my dad, speaking of saying things wrong, my dad was giving me like a real bollocking down in one of the garage car parks in Hollywood, and he goes, "Do you?" And like, you know, he means it, and like you're just, you know, keeping a serious face, and he goes, what he meant to say was, "Do you expect me to take us back to the car phone warehouse?" What he said was, "Do you expect me to take this back to the car shop warephone?" And I held it together for about 6 seconds and burst out laughing, and then I had to say like, "No, that's not what it is." And he goes, "Car shop warephone." You know what I mean? Once he corrected me, got it wrong again.
I remember once losing. I had like a 3330, or what was the one where you could buy the wee sort of fake? You used to buy it like, you could take the cover off and put a wee fucking. I had one Nokia phone, and it was like, when I think about it too, like the cover was all cannabis leaves and like a dude fucking smoking a spliff. And I'm like, yeah, I love the Wu-Tang Clan, mate. Yeah. And
everyone had the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, I don't still to this day when you listen to one song.
Gravel Pit?
Yeah.
Back and forth.
But I had Wu-Tang Clan, 2 hoodies, I had 2 t-shirts, I had one thing that was like, do you like a baseball shirt, like the shirt, like a short sleeve shirt with the black sleeves on it.
Yeah.
3 pairs of jeans. I was head to toe Wu-Tang Clan or FUBU, like 4 hours by us.
I bought a FUBU daishiki once by mistake in jeans in Belfast. Like a do-rag.
You think of daishikis where you buy sandwiches? Just gonna go down to the local daishiki here. Get some gluten-free dry turkey.
Fetch me gluten-free buns at the delicatessen.
But yeah, I was like, I was one of the first times my dad was like, "Fuck, I can't argue with this wee shit."
What do you mean?
So I had this phone with all the leaves and shit on it, and I ran out of credit. So I was out like in town with my mates, and phoned my dad from a payphone.
Right.
So I was like, "Can you come pick me up in half an hour at McDonald's where it was?"
Yeah.
And then left my phone in the phone box.
Right.
So fucked off, and then came back. I was like, "Fuck it," left my phone in the phone box. Went back to get it, wasn't there. My dad picked me up, and he was like, "Where's your mobile?" And I went, "Somebody fucking stole it." And what do you mean someone stole it? And I was like, "Well, I phoned you from the phone box, walked away, came back, my phone was gone." And my dad was like, "You didn't. Nobody stole it. You left your phone lying at your arse. You've no fucking respect. You left your phone lying at your." Gave me this really, really hard time. And I went, "Put it this way: you go into the shop, right? You drive to the shop, go in to get milk, come back out, and your car's not there. Did somebody steal it? You leave it lying at your hole?" And he was like, "Fucking like."
That's when he started getting into conspiracies.
Yeah, I remember he was just like, "This is so existential."
Oh man, I think with the hotel thing, like that's just the thing now going forward. No staff in places.
Yeah.
Like I won't do the express checkout, drop it in the box. I'm queuing up to hand you my card back and say thank you very much.
Yeah. That's how we differ as well. Because if I'm leaving a hotel, I'm running out of it, being like, if they find out where I live,
yeah, you're writing an apology letter to Armitage Shanks.
Yeah, listen, sorry I didn't take the sock off the smoke alarm, but I was pissed.
Also, don't touch that sock.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't sit there. That'll be my travel book. Micky Bartlett. I wouldn't sit there.
In all amazing place, the Taj Mahal. After you
leave, sit there. Left a bit. You know what I mean?
Imagine you brought out a vlog, which was just you, like legitimately just wanking in historical places. No intro, no outro. That's just what it was.
It's another thing. Living at home for a year, I've gotten so good at wanking now. I could probably do that and not get caught.
Yeah.
I'm having to go back to that. Shh.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is my cum face now. And I'm at that age too, it doesn't even shoot anymore, it just kind of runs out.
Yeah.
So
it meanders out.
Yeah, it just saunters. Yeah, my sperm's sort of like this.
Have you had weird...
Sorry.
Here's the thing, even when you get weird experiences out with people, when you see people out and they chat to you about podcasts or comedy or whatever, they recognise you by your eyes. Isn't that weird? I'm always very surprised when someone goes, "Oh, Shane Todd," and I'm like, how would you know?
I've had weird experiences where I've recognised people and can't remember their names and have to be all, "Who is that? Can't tell with a mask on," but I'm really being like, I forget who the fuck you are.
Yeah. You just unpeel. You're like, if I'm not wearing it, you just unpeel people. Spit.
Sorry, Mum. Like, you run about licking pensioners. I've had a great year.
I mean, you remember that period when like we got to like do a bit of stand up?
I was talking to someone about this a few days ago. I, at this point, almost wish that didn't happen.
Same.
Because it was so good to be back doing it.
It was like a false dawn, and I looked out at the setup and stuff and went, right, well, this can just happen now because everyone spent this much money on it.
Yeah.
It's all safe. The table service, you're being walked to your table, the plexiglass, all that. I was like, brilliant.
Back in the game. Yeah. It's crazy. I remember like on St. Patrick's night last year going, this won't last 3 weeks, never mind 6.
Yeah.
And then a year later, you're just like, oh.
I remember during those Limelight gigs sitting with Mark McCartney and Aaron Butler having a coffee somewhere like in between shows and going, that was the best moment of it all.
Yeah.
Because like we always talk about, anytime you chat with stand-up, like the hanging out like is nearly as good as the gig.
Yeah.
But especially if the gigs are going good and it's like in between, you've got another you got the adrenaline of the first show, you got another show coming up. We were sitting having a coffee outside in Botanic somewhere, and the weather was really nice in September. Yeah. And I went, that was not even being on stage, but that was a moment where I went, this is back.
Yeah.
In some capacity, this is back.
It was crazy how like I loved whenever even the sort of Limelight gigs we'd done, so we hadn't seen each other for what, like 6 months. And everybody walked into the green room and it was just straight back to who's on first.
Yeah.
Like it was that, like the muscle memory was still there.
Yeah.
But I don't know when we'll be back on stage this year, but I'm this time around I'm feeling like fuck, I'm gonna have to blow the cobwebs off. Like it's gonna take longer to go, all right, how does this work?
Well, the first time, especially doing like the garden gig and then those Limelight shows, adrenaline like and excitement carried me through.
Yeah.
But when it comes back again, I think that's when you're right, that's when it's like get rid of the cobwebs, get some bad mistakes out of the way, because I was in the mode the whole first time around of like still full-time comedian, still just in stand-up mode, always thinking of bits and all. And then this time I'm going, I am actually going to need to look at this more like a break this time.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't keep that up the first time with no end date in sight.
It wasn't. It's like writing in the vacuum. It's so hard to do. Because even like, I think whenever we got to like the garden gigs for the first one, I had about half an hour new stuff. And initially I was going, I'm going to be grand for, because the Ulster Hall was supposed to be in October. I was like, this is going to be sweet. And yeah, same thing this time around. I'm going, none of that makes sense.
Yeah.
So now I have all brand new stuff that I have never even said out loud, or, you know, like the notes on my phone are getting fucking weirder as well.
But the almost what makes it in a way harder as well, like not harder, but is that people clearly want stand up so bad. Like the gigs we're doing, like you're just adding Ulster Halls, you add your third Ulster Hall.
Yeah.
And like we're chatting there and that's selling really well, and it's like people want this so, like everybody wants it. We want to do the performing, people want to come and see it. Yeah. And I think anyone the first time around I think you and me were very much like, I'll take any gig in that in between there. We're like, I'll take any sort of gig. I don't care. I just need to do stand up. But I think anyone that was going, nah, I'm going to wait till it comes back exactly the way it was. This will be the next time it comes back, even outdoor. That'll be the defining time for people who did that. They'll have to just either do it or just not do it.
Yeah, I don't think I couldn't see it coming back to the way it was for at least another year or two. Yeah, you think like, of like comedy clubs, how small a lot of them are, how sweaty they are.
Rows. I think it can be done well with a bit of distancing.
Yeah, but a lot of the rooms that we would play in don't have the room for the distancing.
Yeah. Like Limelight was perfect for that.
Yeah, Limelight was great. Perfect. Like I think Lavery's might have been able to do it. I don't know if the Empire could do it, maybe. But
you need the Empire to be packed.
Yeah, so it would kind of be. I don't know. Like I look at like the rooms like the Stand or the Comedy Store in London and stuff. You're going, I don't know if they'll fucking.
I'm happy to go outdoor the whole summer.
Yeah,
the whole summer outdoor stuff. They can have like a canopy type thing.
Yeah, same thing. Like I would have gigged anywhere. Excuse me, before lockdown.
Same. Yeah.
Now I'm literally on top of a bin in a bin.
Yeah.
We're all in bins. Yeah. Like how have you been? The only thing I won't do is I won't do another car park.
Did you say how have you been?
Yeah.
That's what you would call the tour.
But I'm all about punsies. This, you mean?
Yeah. Car park. You won't do a car. You did it because you did a drive-in show.
Yeah.
Where you're on stage, everybody's in their car, and the only way they can communicate is either dip the headlights, beep the horn.
Yeah. Never again. Never again.
Because people go, people you do stand up for validation, and I don't really think that's true. But you definitely need to get something back, even if it's negative.
Even
it's
for
an acknowledgement.
But it's the rhythm side of it, because it's I mean, it's a performance.
Yeah.
That depends solely on the audience. So if you're not getting anything, you can't. Like, I did 2 episodes of the Blame Game with no audience in the room, and you can't build up any momentum for a joke to make sense.
You need that like flow into like your next thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if you're like firing out zingers, it's like during the laughs you're going like, what am I going to say now? You lose that time and that thinking time.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't look as cool. Like, it's like if you're watching a stand up and they're just like, when you have a bit and you've got 3 jokes and then the punchline, and they're laughing at the first joke, and you're like, oh, wait, do you fucking see what's going to happen here?
Yeah.
And it makes you look cool and relaxed. And when you do that same thing, then nothing, you start panicking and you start speaking quicker, spilling the time,
bring it all together,
and ruining it.
I did one Zoom gig, just one, but it was part of like a bigger thing where it was like a Q&A thing as well. It was like a corporate thing for Queens, and I could see people, and I could see like, you see a bit of reaction, see people laughing or whatever, but I couldn't hear anything. And I can imagine my face was the first punchline. I still didn't grasp. I'm not going to get a laugh or a reaction here from a room. Even though I knew there was no audio, I was still expecting something. So I clearly like did a punchline and then went, oh Christ, Jesus Christ. It just became like a monologue. Yeah,
the amount of times on Zoom gigs I've said the words "that killed" in 2019.
Yeah.
Or like I did for the Blame Game, they asked me to do like a quick warm up set.
Right.
To a big fucking TV full of like the Brady Bunch style, just Zoom thing. Awful. Because as I was doing it, the sound guys are fucking rejigging the sound.
Oh.
So I'm doing, I can see people going, and then I would hit the punchline, and either their sound would cut out or mine would cut out, and it would just be complete and utter silence.
You always focus in, and I do it when we do the Zoom Friday podcast. When you're like performing or you have like a bit, you focus, if it's on like speaker view or whatever, or gallery view, you focus in on the only one person who is doing something else at the same time as the podcast.
Oh my god, man. The first time I did a Zoom gig, I remember like I didn't even know you could flick through the gallery mode. Like, I didn't even know you could do that. So I'm like in my mum and dad's spare room with my laptop on a fucking cushion, kneeling down in a pair of shorts with like a gig top on, and I just shaved my head. I just shaved my head on all that mad fucking shit I did for Instagram. And there was an old lady, it was a Scottish gig, this old, and I mean like a fucking massive, like, I don't know what beyond morbidly obese is, right? Fat as fuck, but just a big fucking unit. And she had no teeth, and she was eating an Easter egg with no teeth, right? But she'd like forgot that she was on camera, so she's like that, so that's the laptop, she's like that, right? And she's just going,
oh no.
And she's not looking at the show, she's just listening to it, and all I can see is like chocolatey spit. And I'm trying to be all like, funny thing about airplane food is, but at the same time not go, like, and I remember being like, I remember actually, I didn't even take the money for it. I was like, that was so awful. I don't even want that going into my account.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself at the time, I hope lockdown's over quick because people are going to get fucking used to watching Zoom gigs, and I don't want that.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I've seen a few guys, what do you call that guy? The American dude. Chris DeStefano.
Chris DeStefano,
yeah. I've seen him post a clip on Instagram of like people heckling again because they just don't know how to be out.
Yeah.
And he's being like, this is your first time in a fucking crowded space in a year and you're losing your mind. And that's what I'm half looking forward to and half dreading about it getting back properly. Chris
DeStefano is supposed to do this podcast.
Oh really?
The last time cancelled because, and I quote, he said his internet went down. He was in Manhattan.
Could happen, you know what I mean?
Couldn't happen.
You never know.
Couldn't happen.
Maybe his fucking landlord's kicking points up to Paulie. Do you know what I mean? Could be anything. Like
Zoom gay. I don't know. Like I'm excited about doing outdoor stuff. I think it'll be great.
Like Sorry, I get sniffles.
I think it'll be great.
Yeah, I think like anything. Like I got in Vittorio's when I did one joke. And I've still got it on my phone. I look at it every so often when I'm just like feeling blue.
That would need a bit.
Sorry, well done. where like if people laugh for 35 seconds exactly, and I just look at like I cut the joke. I don't even know what the joke is. I just go me going da and people just laughing. And I was like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything will be great.
I found an old set videoed on my laptop that I didn't even know was filmed from Limelight Comedy Club that long ago.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the best. It was just I just did a headline, like a 25-minute set. I think William was emceeing. And it's just one of the best sets I've done. And I found that and I watched that again and near cried. Like.
Yeah. I keep watching the ones we did in Hollywood at Christmas time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because there was the one that we did 2 shows, and the first one I bombed, and then in the second one had a belter in front of 5 people. And even that, I'm like, I love people laughing.
I was saying to him, and I think I said it on Patreon recently, yeah, we did like a socially distanced stream comedy night called Comedy Shore. Still available. That's a company man right there. That's a company man right there. And I was like, you know, the idea is like, we'll test all this new. In my head, I'm going, we'll just do new material for it, and then when stand-up's back, everyone will be totally polished. I spent that long WhatsApping people going to make sure it's a new set.
Aye.
That I didn't work on my new
stuff.
I forgot to write so I should have like only done one of those.
Aye.
If you know what I mean. But it was just class to just have a microphone and just be doing something. But and I always thought people were genuine, complete psychopaths that would murder people at some point. People that go, I practice stand up in my house. You know, comedians that go just with a mirror and the microphone. Aye. Like I find that beyond weird. But now I totally see the value of it.
Definitely. The ones that practice, that's we were talking on the way up here as well. I think the ones that practice at home will be the ones that'll still be doing comedy when it comes back. And the amount of professionals who will be like, I've just worked in Tesco's now.
Yeah. I mean, I could never like.
There's 2 things survive a nuclear holocaust: is cockroaches and open mic comedians.
Dirty wee bastards crawling about the floor.
Mate, and cockroaches. Just love Bill Hicks, mate. Fuck up.
I'm doing a wee bit that's a wee bit Carlin.
Aye. Mate, listen, I'm going to say the N-word 3 times, right? Any jokes involved? Nah.
Do you remember there was a guy who in a set...
This is the shoe polish dude? This is the shoe polish guy?
He's bald?
Are we thinking of the guy who had the earpiece mic? No.
There
was a guy from near where I live, not Lurgan though, and I saw him one night. He brought a headset mic that was louder than anything you've ever heard in your life.
I know who you mean, but I actually never gigged with him.
Yeah, I remember him being just really rude, not funny, and a girl literally walked on the stage to go up and hit him, and he grabbed her tits.
Yeah, shout out Sean Haggerty.
It's not congratulations to the baby.
It's not Sean. I know who you mean, and I've actually... This sounds like I'm doing a real 2021 thing where I've been like, I don't know him, I've never met him. That's actually my best friend. That guy didn't do stand-up for years, really, and then came back. Yeah,
so I think he was there like way back in the day, like when Keelty and all was going about.
Right, and he does a bit about blacking up with shoe polish.
No, so I think there was another guy who, again...
I think I might be thinking about the other guy.
I think there was a weird thing that happened, I think, when me and you started, that the open mics from the 90s, the open micer came back.
Yes.
Because Paddy McGackie knew them.
Yep.
And
100%.
Because I remember McGackie, the guy who grabbed the woman's breasts.
Yeah.
McGackie was like, "You need to watch, but he just steal your material. Like, you just steal it." But
it's not the worst thing he'll do.
Yeah, but I remember that there was a guy with a guitar who had a whole bit about a certain brand of shoe polish, and everybody was just like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like,
see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, is that the guy?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And I think even if he'd have done it a year before, it would have been slightly like more acceptable.
That bald guy, yes, with you. There we go.
Guy,
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and there was no like he was using it to describe. He was in fairness to him, right, which is a horrible way to start this. He was doing an impression of people that are so unaware of themselves. So it's like where he was coming from wasn't. It
wasn't a place of malice, like it was.
No. But he had no skill to deliver it with. It was just like, blah, 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 said the word, and then it's like, move on to the next bit.
Aye.
But by the way, used to kill. Used to kill.
Yeah. That's the bit that always like... I remember watching a comedian, another guy we were talking about, who got an open spot in the Empire, and everybody was like, let's go and watch this lunatic die on his hole.
Can I say where maybe he's from? Is that too much?
Do that? Yeah, that's the guy. And
Shout out Dave Elliott.
yeah, they were. We all went down. There must have been 15 comedians in that wee corner in the Empire, and he fucking killed it. We're all just like, what the?
Yeah.
And I remember he was one of the first people I'd heard of who went straight from like open spot to paid 20 in one.
But didn't he get the same place get pulled off stage?
Yeah, when he went back,
By the promoter?
Yeah, when they gave him a full 20 minutes, he was like, I'm sorry, I'd give it away. But yeah,
China's top comedian.
Yeah, yeah. I think he got literally yanked off stage.
Yeah, because here's the thing with stand up, you get given like your stage time of how long you're gonna do. There's some gigs where it's like fucking do what you want.
Yeah.
Majority of gigs, it's like okay, you have 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it is, and people will go a lot of the time. I'll flash a light, and then you'll know you've got a minute left. But especially if you're new to stand-up or you're nervous or whatever, you don't always see that light. It's a bad system.
Yeah.
Like there's places that go like, we will flash a red light directly into your eyes. That's the best way of doing it, even though some people think that's really weird. It's like, no, that's the best way. But this is like a famous story that I never actually thought was true. But this guy did the Empire, went ridiculous. I don't even think he went over. He was just doing so badly that the organizer was trying to get his tried everything to get his attention to go like wrap it up, but he just was so focused on getting at the audience that multiple people had to come and like literally like lift him off stage.
I have heard of a guy being lifted off stage. I think there was one that was like years ago with, I think Jack O'Kane was emceeing,
right?
And there was this like, you may go out and get him, and he was like, I'm not fucking going out there. But I know of another guy who the organizer just walked out and literally went, excuse me, and stopped the whole thing and was like, you were booked to do 7 minutes, you've now been on 20, and nobody's enjoying it.
I got hooked early at a gig. You know Scott Capurro?
Yeah.
American comedian. I was supporting Scott at, it was like not like Cathedral Quarter Arts Festival or something, and one of the guys who was like running it like did like almost like a set. He was like, I'll go up and say a few words at the start.
Class.
Did a set.
Always a good idea.
And he's like, this isn't stand up, but had a pre-prepared, I'll introduce the gig.
Yeah.
Anyway, goes on, does that. I was like still really new to stand up, and I supported Scott Capurro Queen's Comedy Club, and then he'd asked me to do this, and it's like a 7-minute slot, and I'm doing like fine, not terrible, in no way good, but just fine, and I'm about 4 or 5 minutes in, 2 minutes left, and the guy organising it just like literally went up and like was like cheers, he started a round of applause and was like cheers, and it was definitely not bad enough to do that.
I've had that happened to me. One of my first death, I was doing so bad that the MC just walked on and took the mic out of my hand. Like,
part of me now is like, is that the worst thing in the world?
See, to be honest, I'm really glad that happened to me that early on, because any death I had after that was just a piece of piss. Like, and I've had horrible, like we've all had stinkers, but I got told off once in Australia. So I was doing a Melbourne Comics Lounge, and so it was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and by the Saturday night there was like a whole bunch of Irish people at it, because they had an announcement being like, please stop drinking out of your own carryouts. So, and I got there on the Thursday, flew in, landed on a Wednesday, was gigging on the Thursday, never been in Australia before, jet lagged as fuck, and they're like, oh yeah, you're headlining,
right?
And I'm like, what? Just because it was like the international guest. So come the Saturday night, I'd kind of found my feet, knew what worked, and I think I went like 2 minutes over.
Yeah. And
the sound guy gave me a fucking bollocking. Like, you're supposed to do 35, you did 37. And I was like, they're still clapping.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But I just wanted to brag about that.
I'll tell you this quickly before we go, right? But we went to LA years ago just for like a trip. Me, Michael.
How did you find it? Did you see any American comics when you're out there?
Do you mean like just going to watch?
Yeah.
Yes, we did the first. Yeah. More on since then I've like properly went and watched like the best, but we went to the Comedy Store when we were there, and the lineup was like, it was an unadvertised lineup, and it was like Joe Rogan, Bobby Lee, Sebastian Maniscalco, Jeff Ross, a couple others. It was fucking amazing. Yeah. But we did an open mic in the Hollywood Improv, me and Dave, and it's one of those ones like write your name down,
hang around,
goes into a bucket. You might not get called. So we go, I get called, say there's like 35 spots available, and it's only comedians in the room.
Yeah.
Their system is, when you have hit your time, a guy will come on and play piano, just like quite faint in the background,
Yeah.
being like, wrap it up, I'm not playing too loud. If you continue to go, he'll just belt into a full song. So I go up, I do my time, enjoyable. I sit down, I'm like, thank God. Dave gets called up like next, and Dave's like, oh yes, really, like Hollywood Improv's like one of the big ones, and he's like, oh yes, and he goes up and he's doing a set, and he gets into it. He
Yeah.
like starts, you know, when you're like, he's cooking, right? He gets into it a bit later in the set, and he's like, yeah, and all I hear is like, like piano music, like lounge music behind him.
Yeah.
Dave didn't realise. He was so in the zone, and like we were nervous as well because of where we were, and he sounded like just like a lounge singer after a while, because he was
Yeah.
talking perfectly in time with the music, and it sounded so nice. And then the guy starts playing like full like fucking Bohemian Rhapsody type like music on the thing. Dave still had no idea, and I think was like, Dave, stop doing the set. And when he realised, he was like, oh fuck, he's like, I had no idea. But it was just so funny that like he was so in the zone.
Yeah.
And their system is literally a man will come behind you and play piano, and Dave's just like, no.
I was looking at the Glasgow stand has that. Well, all the stands have that. They'll play repeat
Yeah.
for the open mic night. But in the Glasgow one, it's like if you hit, you don't get 10 seconds or 20. It's like you like, and then I said it's like and you just fucking go home.
Yeah.
I like that so much. Yeah.
And no matter who you are as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right. Well, look, you're doing third night at the Ulster Hall.
Yeah. So the 10th of September is the third. So it's been rescheduled. So the show that was supposed to be in April is now the 3rd of September. The show that was supposed to be in June is the 11th of September. Good day for comedy. And yeah, the third show
Hope
is
I was
the
done
10th.
well.
Yeah, it'll be 20th anniversary as well. So conspiracy theorist.
I like it if you went, look, we've got a funny set plan, but
Yeah, that's fucking.
let's talk about facts.
Let's blow this place apart.
Yeah, and Deck Chair and Young's podcast, unreal. Thank you very much for coming in,
Thank you for having
being
me.
my first guest.
The place looks great, man. Honest to God.
Thank you.
If you need anybody to help pay the rent, I can move in and just sleep here.
Yeah.
Because I almost slammed my
Sleep
ma's
in.
head in their dinner on Tuesday night, so
What dinner? Depends what it is.
just chicken curry. But
Yeah, it could
she
be
eats
hot.
rice weird. Do you know what I mean?
She what?
She eats rice weird.
In what way?
She just doesn't do it right. I don't know.
You use chopsticks, of course.
Yeah, of course, obviously. No, I'm at that point where like living with your parents must be like when you're married for 40 years and everything they do just makes you go, "Do you fucking stop breathing?"
Yeah.
So if you need someone to come and just look after the place, or whatever, give us a shout.
Yeah, we'll do that. All right, Mick, cheers.
Cheers, man.
Thanks.
Peace. Peace.